Morning VC, and it's a lovely morning for once here, and weather-wise I mean, but I have some very interesting stuff to show you today. I was going to throw this video up much sooner than this, but I was waiting for an item to arrive which I ordered off Discogs, so let's get cracking. The first two items that I'm going to show to you actually Jimmy, Earl of Suave, you've been very anxious to see these, so let's not hang around. And last week, or actually it was more than a week ago now, it was about, I went to a lecture here in town by Malcom Garrett. Now Malcom Garrett is a graphic designer who's been involved in the music industry for approximately 35 years now, and he made his name designing album covers. He started off, his first design was the Buzzcocks single Orgasm Addict, and he went on to design Duran Duran's Rio cover, the cover of that album, and he also did work for Heaven 17. He designed stuff for Kraftwerk. He designed stuff for the Spice Girls, but less said about that the better. But anyway, he was there. He was here in town to give a lecture about his, about his experience in the music industry, and about technology, about the future of the printed word. For instance, very interesting, and a lot of anecdotes. Now, I brought along two items in the hope that he would sign them, and I wasn't disappointed. Now, after he finished the lecture, I approached him and asked him, would you be, Malcolm, would you care to sign a couple of items? And he was only all too delighted. And first off is Magazine, The Correct Use of Soap, classic album, and this is one of two albums by Magazine whose covers Malcolm designed, and there we go. So he signed it on the back there and he dedicated it to me. So there we go. The next item is actually something which I showed you on my last update, and it was part of a VCLT which I got from Ben Costello. So it is also by Magazine, and it's After the Fact, and yeah, so there we go. And I think he was particularly happy to see this one when he saw it. His face lit up, and I think he's particularly proud of this one, and it is really a fantastic design. So he's a really nice guy, and I had a chat with him for about maybe about 10 minutes after. He talked about he went to school with Peter Saville, who's famous for his designs for Factory Records and Joy Division, and he chatted about, I asked him about seeing Joy Division live. He said he saw them when they were still called Warsaw, and he said they were crap. So and he was full of praise for Martyn Hannett, and he was he was very much of the opinion that that Martyn Hannett was instrumental to developing Joy Division sound, and he does have a point there. So that was yes, so that was Malcom Garrett. Next up, the next few items I'm going to show you are related musically, and you know, in terms of genre and actual band members. I went to the record fair, which comes around here every few times a year in the Unitarian Church here in Cork. I went there and spent way too much money as usual. One of the items I picked up is by a band I've featured quite a bit lately, and this is by Throbbing, Gristle, and this is called Mission of Dead Souls, the last live performance of TG. And so, as its title says, it's their very last live performance, which was in San Francisco in 1981. Now this is a reissue on Mute Records. Mute Records reissued a lot of their stuff in the early 80s, and this was part of that. Now this concert was actually I mean, they filmed pretty much everything they did, and this, you can see this on YouTube actually, footage of it, and some of the features Discipline and Persuasion, which is called Persuasion USA, so it features kind of different lyrics to what would be featured on 20 Jazz Funk Greats. Okay, so this is in excellent condition, by the way, and I'm really pleased with this find. Next up is a band related, because this is the band that Genesis P. Orridge, the frontman of Throbbing Gristle, set up after Throbbing Gristle split up. So this is Psychic, sorry, it's going out of focus, Psychic TV and Dreams Less Sweet. This is their second album from 1983, and also features Peter Sleazy Christopherson there, who was his bandmate in Throbbing Gristle. This is kind of, musically, this is quite different from TG. It's much more, a lot of the songs in it are much more kind of conventional musically, more melodic. There's even a kind of a folk influence in there in some of the songs, and some kind of unusual found sound. There's a recording of a dog, of a kind of an attack dog, at one point, a couple of points actually on it, and recordings of bells and all kinds of unusual sounds, and it kind of creates there's a kind of a particular atmosphere that they're striving for on this recording. Now, what I'm next up, now the next album I'm going to show you is kind of connected in a way. Now, Sleazy, Peter Sleazy Christopherson and John Balance there, they split away soon after this was released, and they formed their own band, Coil. Now, Coil are featured on this. This is a compilation album from 1984 called Life at the Top, and Coil have a tune here called Homage to Sewage. Now, a lot of their songs were very kind of scatological, you know, sewage, you know, can't get much more scatological than that. Now there's a very interesting lineup of groups on this as well. Quite a few of them I've never heard of. Now the ones that I have, Legendary Pink Dots, Muslim gays. This is a fantastic album, by the way. It's in fantastic condition as well. It looks like it's barely been played. And another interesting feature of this is that it came originally with a magazine, Abstract magazine. Now, when I got it at the record fair, it didn't include the magazine, but I inquired on the Facebook site Industrial Music for Industrial People if anybody had, and that particular issue that it came with, which is issue 4, and lo and behold somebody had it, and I offered to buy it off them, so I picked it up for a nice price, and here it is, issue 4 of Abstract magazine. So there you go, it's got the same picture as on the LP, and it features quite a lot of post-punk and goth and industrial groups, Coil, 23 Skidoo, Dead Can Dance, sorry, it's upside down, This Mortal Coil, and some very interesting interviews. There's an interview with SPK, and they were an Australian industrial group. Some interesting artwork as well. And, let's see now. There's interview with Dead Can Dance. And, This Mortal Coil. Oh, there we go, Coil. And there's also a rather interesting letter in this from our friend Genesis PR again, who at this stage, was in Psychic TV, and he sent in a letter. Apparently there was an article on Psychic TV in issue 3, the previous issue of this magazine, which he rather took exception to, and in the letter he actually threatens legal action against the magazine. So he wasn't, whatever it was, he wasn't too happy about it. Okay. Now, the next item is actually what I was waiting for to arrive through the post, so it arrived this morning, so there we go. This is kind of staying on an industrial theme. This is a compilation, a 10-inch compilation, and it is called 4 Years in 30 Seconds, and the reason it's called that is because it took 4 years to well, I don't know, to record, but actually to get it together, I think. And each song is 30 seconds long. It came out in 1997. This copy, by the way, is mint and unplayed, and it is from the collection of Stephen Stapelton of Nursewood Wound, who did the artwork, and who also features Nursewood Wound. And he actually, the inner sleeve is actually signed by him. There you go. There's a signature there. Rather interesting. It's kind of like almost like kind of a drawing there. So, and I also must show you the insert, which was included in all copies. I'll just show you there if you can read that. It's from Steve Pittis, and it's basically saying inviting anybody who buys this album to write him a letter, you know, give your opinion and what you thought of it, and he'll write back and he'll write a reply. Now, it gives the address, but that was back in 1997, so I don't know whether whether there's still at that address or not. But I'll write a letter and see what happens. So there we go. I'm not going to play this, by the way, because it is in mint condition, and I want to keep it that way. I got this, you know, because it's signed and everything. I got this to keep it as a kind of a collector's item. So there we go. Now, moving on. This is a record which I meant to show on my last update, but which I for some reason I left it out. I forgot about it. This is the Cocteau Twins and Sunburst and Snowblind. This is an EP. It's on the 4AD label, and it's featuring some very interesting artwork, as 4AD are famed for. So you know, very much in the kind of, so Cocteau Twins, kind of hard to categorise really. They're kind of slightly gothy, I suppose, kind of. Yeah, they are quite hard to categorise really. I'm not 100% sure what you'd really categorise them under. So there we go. Now, I've shown my Bowie collection in the past, and it's ever expanding. Now, this is something highly unusual which I spotted in the Mother Jones flea market, where I got a lot of records. This is Peter and the Wolf, and it's, technically speaking, it's not really a David Bowie album as such. It's not a studio album, but it is it's more or less a classical album, and he narrates, hope I'm pronouncing this right, Prokofiev, his Peter and the Wolf. So basically, yeah, he just narrates. It's basically a children's tale, and which he narrates over the over this orchestration, and it doesn't actually feature in the second half. Let's see there now. It's on. There's an insert here. The second half features Benjamin Britten's Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. So first half then is Peter and the Wolf, narrated by David Bowie, and this is something which I'd never seen before, so a highly interesting item, and I picked it up for €10. So you know, I'm quite happy with that. Next up, John Martyn is an artist who I've featured quite a bit as well in my updates, and this I picked up at the record fair as well in the Unitarian Church. This is Bless the Weather, and I think it's possibly his fourth or fifth album. I'm not 100% sure. Possibly his fifth. It's from 1971, and I may have said before that that Solitaire was the first album where he features this kind of that kind of distinctive Echoplex guitar playing, but I was incorrect. It's actually on this album where he first features it, but he doesn't really use it until the last track, or sorry, the second last track. Sorry, Glistening Glenburn. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. It's vital if you're a fan of John Martyn. Now it's not in the best of condition. It's kind of held together. The sleeve is held together with sellotape. The vinyl is a bit scratched, but it plays fine. But a fantastic early album by John Martyn, and I highly recommend it. Now, it just so happens that I spotted this is another album by John Martyn, one which I wasn't familiar with. It's one of his later releases. It's from 1990, and it is called The Apprentice. And I wasn't familiar with it. I didn't know what it was like. Picked it up, and it is surprisingly good. It's, you know, for late period John Martyn, it is really, you know, it really stands up there with, you know, with his early stuff. It is, yeah, it's there's kind of parts of it. Some of the songs in it kind of remind me a little bit of what he did on Solitaire. It's kind of harking back a bit to the style of that album. So yeah, this is a definitely worth checking out if, you know, for the. Yeah, I know a lot of the stuff that came before us in the 80s isn't very highly regarded, but this is a strong feature on the John Martyn canon. The Apprentice, it's called, and it's from 1990. Okay. Now, the next two items which I'm going to show, actually I picked up in charity shops. Now, as anybody who, charity shops, just to point out to our American viewers, charity shops, I think they're called thrift shops in the States. But as anybody who's ever been into one and looked at the record rack in them, you know, I mean, usually Nana Mouskouri, Manuel and Music of the Mountains, you know, that sort of shite keeps, you know, it's mainly kind of rubbish. But I picked up a couple of interesting items which I spotted. Now this I picked up for €2.50. It's Laura Nyro, and it's called The First Songs, and it's actually a early 70s reissue of her first album on CBS, and it was originally called something else, I think, when it was first released, and it had a different cover. I looked it up on Discogs, and it had a completely different cover to this as well. But this is from 1973, and the album actually came out originally in '67. So yeah, you wouldn't see her, Laura Nyro, you wouldn't see her records for sale very often. So I was quite pleased to pick this up, and at quite a good price as well, €2.50. That was a bargain. The next item which I picked up is actually a CD, and I picked this up for €1.50. This is Blur 13, released in 1999, and it's this is a kind of a limited edition box set. It's actually numbered, so this is number 087192, and I actually have the top of it on the wrong way around, so this is what it looks like. Nice thick cardboard box, and full of inserts. There's a poster. Sorry, where is it now again? Yeah, poster. Okay, there we go. Very nice, and the CD holder comes in this sleeve, and also it's some kind of a postcard or something. There we go. So this album, Blur, by the way, may I add, I saw them live in 1995 here in Cork, as part of there was a 3-day music festival called Fail in 95, which has gone down in legend here in Cork. You know, they were still at that stage. They were still kind of, you know, regarded as, you know, kind of a, you know, the Britpop thing, and they were kind of, you know, the feud with Oasis and all that kind of thing. But by the time they came out with this album, they were kind of really moving forward musically. Like this is a really, really good album. It's kind of more experimental than what came before it, and it's kind of, you can kind of see the way Damon Albarn was moving in relation to, you know, what would come after it, you know, with Gorillaz and his collaborations, you know, with you know, the likes of Tony Allen and so forth. So yeah, so for €1.50, this is a fantastic find. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll be putting up another update soon, because myself and Ben, we have a haul coming, so I'll be hopefully showing you that very soon. So again, so thanks for watching, and all the best.